You know that moment when you're lying in bed, completely exhausted, and your mind just won't stop. You're replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, analyzing a decision you already made, running through every possible way tomorrow could go wrong. And somewhere in the back of your head, a quiet voice whispers, "What is wrong with me?" Here's what's fascinating. That question itself? It's the wrong one. Because your overthinking isn't random noise. It's not a glitch. It's not weakness dressed up as worry. According to psychology, it's actually a signal, a very specific one, about the kind of mind you have. And most people never learn to read it. Today, we're going to change that. Because by the end of this video, you won't just understand why you overthink. You'll understand what it's quietly been telling you about yourself this whole time. And I promise you, it's not what you've been told. Let's start with something most people get completely backwards. Overthinking has a reputation. Society treats it like a bad habit, something to fix, suppress, or meditate away. And if you've spent years being told to just relax or stop worrying so much, you've probably internalized that message more than you realize. But here's what the research actually shows. Psychologists have found that chronic overthinking isn't randomly distributed across the population. It clusters. It shows up consistently in people who share a very specific set of cognitive and emotional traits. Traits linked to higher self-awareness, deeper empathy, and more complex internal processing. In other words, the same brain that keeps you up at night is the same brain that notices things others miss, that feels things more deeply, that holds itself to a standard most people never even consider. The ancient Stoics had a concept for this. They called it prososche, a kind of radical self-attention, the relentless inner observer. And for thousands of years, that quality was considered a mark of wisdom, not weakness. Modern psychology echoes this. What looks like overthinking from the outside is often, at its core, a mind that refuses to operate on autopilot. And that matters, because once you understand the traits behind it, really understand them, the whole experience shifts. It stops feeling like something happening to you, and starts feeling like something that's been trying to tell you something. So let's get into it. Here are the hidden traits your overthinking has been quietly revealing about you. Let's start with the first thing your overthinking is actually telling you. Your brain is wired for anticipation, not reaction. While most people respond to what's already happening, your mind is constantly running ahead, scanning for what could happen. Psychologists call this future-oriented cognition. You don't just walk into situations. You've already rehearsed them. Thought through the outcomes, the variables, the things that could go sideways. While someone else is reacting in the moment, you've already been there, mentally, 3 times. That's not anxiety. That's foresight. In early human history, the people who imagined worst-case scenarios weren't the fearful ones. They were the ones who survived. That wiring is ancient, and it's still running in you. But there's a second thing happening, and this one runs even deeper. You don't replay conversations because you're anxious. You replay them because you care. Overthinkers don't loop back on interactions to punish themselves. They do it to check. Did that land wrong? Did I hurt someone without meaning to? Was I understood the way I intended? Psychologists call this heightened emotional responsibility, an unusually strong awareness of the emotional impact your words have on other people. And it's rare. Most people say something, move on, and never think about it again. You say something, and your mind quietly runs a full review. Not because you're insecure, but because you genuinely care how people feel around you. The world calls that overthinking. Psychology calls it emotional attunement. And as we go deeper, you'll start to notice a pattern. Every trait that makes overthinking feel heavy has a strength underneath it that most people never develop. There's something else going on beneath the surface. Overthinkers don't just think more. They process more. Your brain doesn't skim reality. It absorbs it. A slight shift in someone's tone. A pause that lasted half a second too long. The energy in a room that changed and nobody else noticed. These aren't things you look for. They just arrive. automatically. Psychologists call this heightened sensory processing. Your brain takes in significantly more information per moment than average. And instead of filtering it out, yours holds on to it, analyzes it. This is why you feel mentally exhausted after a day where nothing difficult happened. You weren't doing nothing. You were processing hundreds of signals the world never asked you to notice. You don't just experience life. You dissect it. And underneath all of that processing, there's a standard running quietly in the background, one that never turns off. You don't just want things done. You want them right. Not perfect in a rigid sense, but aligned, consistent with your values, thought through properly. Psychologists call this conscientious depth, a deep internal drive to close the gap between what you do and what you actually believe is correct. And it's exhausting, because the world moves fast and your mind keeps asking, is this really the best option? Does this actually feel right? Most people don't ask those questions, not because they're careless, but because that level of internal scrutiny simply isn't how their mind operates. Yours does it automatically. You don't cut corners because cutting corners feels like a quiet betrayal of something you can't quite name. That's not overthinking. That's integrity in motion. And when you put all of this together, something becomes very clear. This isn't a collection of flaws. It's a portrait of a specific kind of mind, one that was never built for the surface. If you've made it this far, there's a good chance this video has been describing you with uncomfortable accuracy. And that feeling, that quiet recognition, is itself part of what makes your mind different. You don't just consume information. You feel it. You sit with it. You let it mean something. Here's the part most people never reach. Because understanding what your overthinking is doesn't automatically make it lighter. The weight comes from years of being told that the way your mind works is a problem, that you're too sensitive, too slow, too much. But here's the truth, and it's one worth sitting with. You are not overthinking because something is wrong with you. You are overthinking because your mind is active, complex, and deeply engaged with reality. It anticipates because it wants to protect you. It replays because it cares about people. It processes deeply because it refuses to live on the surface. It holds high standards because integrity matters to you. That's not a burden. That's a blueprint. The only thing that was ever missing was someone explaining what it actually meant. So, the next time your thoughts start spiraling, don't fight them. Listen to them. Ask what they're trying to protect, resolve, or understand. Because a mind like yours was never meant to be silenced. It was meant to be understood.